She ghosted me after I paid her entire student loan debt. I texted, "Hope it was worth it." Then I filed a perfectly legal civil suit for the full amount with a gift letter she signed. Now she is begging to reconcile. I, 32M, never thought generosity would be the thing that destroyed me. But here I am, 3 months after the worst financial and emotional decision of my life, about to tell you how I fought back. It started 2 years ago when I met her at a mutual friend's wedding. She was beautiful, intelligent, and drowning in student loan debt. We hit it off immediately, and within 6 months, we were officially together. She worked as a junior architect at a mid-sized firm, passionate about her work but constantly stressed about money. Every conversation eventually circled back to her loans, how they were crushing her dreams of buying a home, traveling, or even just breathing without financial anxiety weighing on her chest. The number was staggering: $87,000. Between undergraduate and graduate school, she had accumulated what felt like a mortgage payment without the house to show for it. She made her monthly payments religiously, but the interest meant she was barely making a dent. I watched her skip dinners with friends, turn down weekend trips, and work herself into exhaustion taking freelance projects on the side. It broke something in me to see someone I cared about so burdened. I was in a different position financially. I had started a software consulting business 5 years prior, and after some lean years, it finally took off. I was making good money, had healthy savings, and owned my condo outright. I lived modestly because I grew up watching my parents struggle, and their lessons about financial responsibility stuck with me. But I also believed in using money to improve lives, especially for people I loved. About 14 months into our relationship, during a particularly rough week where she had been crying about her loans again, I made the offer. I told her I wanted to pay off her entire student loan debt. She initially refused, said it was too much, that she could not accept something so significant. But I insisted. I explained that I had the means, that it would not hurt me financially, and that I wanted her to have the freedom to actually live her life. I wanted us to build a future together without this shadow hanging over her. After weeks of discussion, she finally agreed. But I was not stupid. I had heard stories, read articles, seen enough cautionary tales to know that mixing money and relationships required protection. I consulted with my attorney about the best way to structure this. He advised me that if I wanted any legal recourse, I needed documentation. We drafted what he called a conditional gift letter. It stated clearly that I was providing her with $87,000 for the specific purpose of paying off her student loans, and that if our relationship ended within 5 years of the payment, she would be obligated to repay the full amount within 90 days of separation. My attorney explained that conditional gifts were legally enforceable in certain circumstances, especially when the conditions were clear and the recipient signed acknowledging them. She read the letter. I remembered her sitting at my kitchen table, the document in front of her, asking if I really thought this was necessary. I told her it was just a formality, that it protected both of us, and that I fully expected we would make it past 5 years and it would become irrelevant. She signed it. We both signed it. It was notarized. I transferred the money the next day. $87,000 left my account in one clean wire transfer. She paid off every single loan within 48 hours. I remembered the video call where she showed me the zero balances on her loan portal, tears streaming down her face, telling me I had changed her life. She said she loved me. She said she wanted to spend forever with me. I believed her. The next few months were perfect. She was lighter, happier, more present. We talked about moving in together, about engagement rings, about what our life would look like. She started saving money for the first time in years. We took a trip to Portugal that she actually enjoyed instead of spending the whole time anxious about the cost. I felt good about what I had done. I felt like I had made the right choice. Then things started shifting. Subtle at first. She became busier at work, which I understood. Her firm had landed a major project, and she was part of the team. But the late nights turned into weekends. The texts became shorter and less frequent. When we did see each other, she seemed distracted, distant. I asked her multiple times if something was wrong, if we were okay. She always said she was just stressed about work, that everything was fine, that she loved me. I tried to be understanding. I knew demanding jobs could strain relationships. I gave her space. I supported her. I kept showing up. But the distance kept growing. Then came the cancellations. Dinner plans pushed back. Weekend trips postponed. Her birthday celebration that she asked to skip because she was too overwhelmed. I started feeling like an obligation rather than a partner. The end came suddenly. Or at least it felt sudden to me. Though looking back, I realized she had been planning her exit for weeks. She sent me a text message on a Tuesday afternoon. It said she needed space to focus on herself and her career. She said our relationship had run its course. She said she hoped I would understand and that we could remain friends. That was it. No phone call. No in-person conversation. Just a text message ending a 2-year relationship and following an $87,000 gift. I tried calling her. The calls went to voicemail. I sent texts asking if we could at least talk in person. She responded once, saying there was nothing to talk about, that her decision was final. Then nothing. Complete silence. She blocked me on social media. She blocked my number. She ghosted me as if I were some casual dating app match and not someone who had just paid off her entire student loan debt 4 months earlier. The rage hit me like a physical force. I spent 3 days barely sleeping, replaying every moment, every conversation, trying to understand what had happened. Then the clarity came. She had used me. The timeline was too convenient. The sudden change right after the financial burden lifted. The cold, emotionless exit. She had gotten what she needed and discarded me. I pulled out the conditional gift letter. I reread it multiple times. I called my attorney. I asked him if this was enforceable, if I actually had legal standing. He reviewed the document again and confirmed that yes, we had a valid conditional gift agreement. The conditions were clear, she had signed acknowledging them, and she had breached those conditions by ending the relationship within the 5-year period. He said I could file a civil suit for the full amount. I sent her one text before I proceeded. It was simple. I wrote that I hoped it was worth it. Then I filed the lawsuit. The process took about 3 weeks to get everything prepared and filed. My attorney drafted a comprehensive complaint laying out the facts, the conditional gift agreement, the breach of conditions, and the demand for repayment of the full $87,000 plus court costs and legal fees. We included copies of the signed and notarized letter, bank transfer records, and documentation of her loan payoff. The case was solid. She was served with the papers at her workplace. My attorney said process servers often go to workplaces because people are reliably there during business hours. I did not specifically request that, but I did not stop it either. Part of me, the angry part, hoped it was humiliating. The silence that had lasted for 3 weeks shattered immediately. My phone started ringing from a number I did not recognize. I did not answer. Then the texts started coming from a different number. She was begging me to call her, saying we needed to talk, that this was insane, that she could not believe I was doing this. I did not respond. Then came the voicemails. Her voice was frantic, desperate in a way I had never heard before. She said she did not have that kind of money, that I was going to ruin her life, that she thought the letter was just a formality and never believed I would actually enforce it. She said she was sorry, that maybe she had made a mistake, that maybe we could work things out. I deleted every voicemail without listening to them fully. Her friends started reaching out. People I had met through her, people I had considered friends, were suddenly messaging me, calling me cruel, vindictive, telling me I was destroying her over a breakup. They said I was trying to trap her with money, that the letter was manipulative, that no decent person would actually sue someone they claimed to love. I blocked every single one of them. My own friends were split. Some thought I was completely justified. She had taken my money and run, and I had every right to seek repayment. Others thought I was being petty, that you could not sue someone for leaving a relationship, that I was using the legal system for revenge. One friend told me that even if I won, I would be the villain in this story. I told him I did not care about being the hero. The legal process moved forward. Her attorney sent a response denying the validity of the conditional gift letter. They argued that gifts could not have conditions that restricted personal freedom, that the agreement was essentially trying to force her to stay in a relationship under financial duress, and that it was unconscionable and unenforceable. My attorney had anticipated this argument. He countered that the condition was not requiring her to stay in the relationship, but merely stating the financial consequence if she chose to leave within the specified time frame. She had the freedom to leave, but not the freedom to leave with my money. The discovery phase was brutal for her. Her financial records had to be disclosed. Her bank statements, her income, her assets. My attorney explained that this was necessary to determine her ability to pay if we won the judgment. The records showed something interesting. In the 4 months between the loan payoff and the breakup, she had managed to save nearly $15,000, money that previously would have gone to loan payments. She had also made some significant purchases, including a new car and an expensive vacation to Japan that I had not been invited to. That vacation detail hit differently. While she was pulling away from me, claiming work stress and needing space, she had taken a 2-week trip to Japan with people she had told me were just work colleagues. The financial freedom I had given her was being used to build a life that explicitly excluded me. It validated every angry thought I had been having. Update 1. The mediation hearing was scheduled for 2 months after the initial filing. Mediation was apparently standard in civil suits like this, a chance for both parties to potentially settle before going to trial. My attorney advised me on what to expect and what our position would be. I was clear about my stance. I wanted the full amount or nothing. I was not interested in a payment plan or a reduced settlement. I saw her for the first time since the breakup in that mediation room. She looked terrible. Her hair was pulled back messily, her face was drawn, and she had clearly been crying recently. There was a part of me that still reacted to seeing her in distress, some old instinct to comfort her. I pushed it down and kept my expression neutral. The mediator explained the process and asked if we wanted to make opening statements. Her attorney went first, reiterating their position that the conditional gift letter was unenforceable and unconscionable. Then her attorney added that she was willing to settle by repaying $20,000 over 5 years. It was insulting. My attorney responded that we were seeking the full $87,000 as specified in the signed agreement, and that we were confident in our legal position. The mediator asked if I would consider any compromise. I said no. The mediator looked surprised and asked if I was certain. I told him I was completely certain. The mediator then asked for private sessions with each party. When it was just my attorney and me, the mediator tried to convince me to be reasonable. He explained that even if I won the judgment, collecting it would be difficult if she did not have the assets. He said that pushing forward would cost me more in legal fees and that a settlement, even a smaller one, was better than an uncollectible judgment. I told him I understood all of that and that I still wanted to proceed to trial. After about 4 hours of back and forth, with the mediator shuttling between rooms, her final offer came through. $50,000 paid over 10 years. My attorney looked at me, waiting for my decision. I said no. He asked if I was sure because it was a substantial amount. I told him that accepting less than the full amount would feel like validating what she did, like agreeing that it was okay to use people and walk away with a discount on the consequences. When we returned to the main mediation room to formally decline the settlement, she broke down. She started crying, telling me directly that she was sorry, that she had made a terrible mistake, that she still loved me, that if I dropped the lawsuit we could try again. Her attorney actually put his hand on her arm to get her to stop talking, but she kept going. She said she had been confused and scared about commitment, that she had run away from something good, and that she wanted another chance. I looked at her and felt nothing. The person I had loved would not have done what she did. This person crying in front of me was a stranger wearing a familiar face, saying words she thought I wanted to hear because she was desperate. I told her that if she had wanted to reconcile, she should not have waited until being served with a lawsuit. I stood up and left the mediation. The next few weeks were more of the same. Desperate messages from her friends, from her family members I had met once or twice. Her mother called me, crying, telling me I was destroying her daughter's life and financial future. I felt bad for her mother, but I also wondered if she knew that her daughter had ghosted someone who had just given her nearly $90,000. I did not argue. I just said I was sorry she was in this position and ended the call. Her messages became more erratic. She would swing between apologizing and getting angry, between begging for another chance and accusing me of financial abuse. She sent me long emails detailing everything good about our relationship, trying to convince me that what we had was real and worth salvaging. She would list memories, inside jokes, moments she claimed proved we belonged together. I did not read most of them past the first few lines. One message stood out, though. She wrote that she had been talking to a therapist who suggested that maybe she had self-sabotaged because she felt guilty about the money and did not feel worthy of the relationship. She said she was working on herself and understanding her patterns. She asked if I would be willing to wait until after the legal case was resolved to talk about our relationship separately from the money issue. It was almost clever, trying to compartmentalize the two things as if they were not completely intertwined. I finally responded to that one. I told her that there was no separating the legal case from the relationship because her actions in the relationship were exactly why the legal case existed. I explained that she did not get to rewrite history or pretend this was about her psychological patterns. She had made a calculated choice, and now she was facing the consequences. I told her to stop contacting me and to communicate only through her attorney. The trial date was set for 4 months after the initial filing. My attorney warned me that she might try more dramatic gestures as the date approached. He was right. She showed up at my condo building one evening. The front desk called me to ask if I wanted her sent up. I said no and asked them to have her leave the property. She apparently stood in the lobby for 20 minutes hoping I would change my mind before security escorted her out. She tried to show up at my office. My assistant, who knew the whole situation, told her I was not available and would not be available. She left a handwritten letter. I gave it to my attorney unopened. He said that was smart, that anything she was putting in writing could potentially be used in the case if it contained admissions or relevant information. He read it and told me it was just more of the same, apologies mixed with declarations of love and requests to drop the lawsuit. As the trial date got closer, her attorney made one more attempt at settlement. $70,000, paid over 7 years with interest. It was closer to the full amount, but still not what the agreement stipulated. My attorney called me to discuss it, noting that it was a reasonable offer considering the time value of money and the uncertainty of trial. I asked him what he honestly thought our chances were at trial. He said that based on the strength of our documentation and the clear terms of the agreement, he gave us an 80% chance of winning a judgment for the full amount. I thought about it for a day. $70,000 was substantial. It was more than most people would ever recover in a situation like this. But accepting it felt like letting her off the hook, like agreeing that her betrayal had a discount price. I called my attorney back and told him to decline the offer. He asked me one more time if I was certain, reminding me that trials were unpredictable and that judges could surprise you. I told him I understood and that I wanted my day in court. Update 2. The trial was surprisingly quick. Civil cases apparently do not have the same drama as criminal trials. No jury, just a judge reviewing evidence and hearing arguments. My attorney presented our case methodically. The signed and notarized conditional gift letter. The bank transfer showing the $87,000. Her loan payoff confirmations. The timeline of the relationship and breakup. The communication records showing her ghosting me, and then the sudden contact after being served. Her attorney argued that conditional gifts relating to personal relationships were against public policy. He claimed that the letter essentially created an indentured relationship, that she would have felt compelled to stay in an unhappy relationship to avoid financial ruin. He argued that contracts that restrict personal freedom were unenforceable and that the court should void the agreement. My attorney countered with case law. He presented examples of conditional gifts being upheld in various contexts, particularly when the conditions were clearly stated and freely agreed to by competent adults. He emphasized that she was a graduate-educated architect who understood what she was signing, that she had time to review the document and seek her own legal counsel before signing, and that she had signed voluntarily with the full knowledge of the terms. The judge asked her directly if anyone had forced her to sign the letter or if she had felt coerced. She admitted that no one had forced her, but claimed she signed it because she felt like she had to in order to receive the money, and that she never thought it would actually be enforced. The judge asked her if she had read the document before signing it. She said yes. The judge asked if she understood what she was agreeing to. She hesitated and then said she understood the words, but not the reality of what it would mean. That answer seemed to frustrate the judge. He pointed out that adults were responsible for the contracts they signed, and that claiming you did not think the other party would enforce their rights was not a valid defense. He asked her attorney if there was any evidence of fraud, coercion, or incompetence at the time of signing. Her attorney admitted there was not. Then the judge asked her about the timing of the breakup. He wanted to know why she had ended the relationship when she did. She gave a vague answer about growing apart and realizing they were not compatible. The judge asked if her feelings had changed before or after her student loans were paid off. She tried to claim it was unrelated, but the judge pressed her on the timeline. She finally admitted that yes, technically the loans were paid off before she started feeling differently about the relationship, but insisted that was coincidental. The judge did not look like he believed the coincidence explanation. He asked her why she had cut off all contact after the breakup if she cared about me as a person. She said she thought a clean break was healthier. The judge asked if she thought ghosting someone who had just given her nearly $90,000 was respectful or appropriate. She did not have a good answer for that. My attorney then presented evidence of her financial activity after the breakup, including the savings she had accumulated and the Japan trip. He argued that this showed she had financially benefited from my gift, while simultaneously excluding me from her life, and that it demonstrated a pattern of using the financial freedom I had provided for her own purposes without any regard for the conditions of that gift. The judge took a recess to review everything. When he returned, he delivered his ruling. He stated that while conditional gifts relating to marriage had specific legal protections and doctrines, this case involved a clearly articulated conditional gift in a non-marital relationship where both parties were free to contract as they saw fit. He found that the conditional gift letter was a valid contract, that the terms were unambiguous, that she had signed it voluntarily and with full understanding, and that she had breached the conditions by ending the relationship within the specified time frame. He ordered her to repay the full $87,000 plus court costs and reasonable attorney fees, totaling about $96,000. She had 90 days to pay in full or establish a court-approved payment plan. If she failed to do either, I could pursue collection remedies including wage garnishment and liens on her assets. She started sobbing in the courtroom. Her attorney put his arm around her shoulders, looking defeated. I felt a strange emptiness. I had won, but it did not feel triumphant. It felt necessary, like locking your door at night. Just something you do to protect yourself. Outside the courthouse, she tried to approach me. Her attorney stopped her, probably advising her that any contact at that point was a bad idea. I walked to my car without looking back. My attorney called me later that day to congratulate me and to discuss the collection process. He warned me that getting payment might take years, that she would likely negotiate a payment plan, and that I needed to be prepared for a long enforcement process. The aftermath was complicated. The story somehow got out, probably through her friends or family. I started getting messages from people I did not know, strangers on social media calling me everything from a hero to a monster. Some people thought I was completely justified in protecting myself from being used. Others thought I was a vindictive person who had used money to control someone and then punished them for leaving. Someone posted about it on social media without names, but enough details that people who knew us could figure it out. The post went viral in certain circles. I read through hundreds of comments debating whether what I did was right or wrong. It was strange seeing strangers analyze my choices and motivations, creating narratives about who I was as a person based on one decision. Her attempts to reconcile did not stop after the judgment. If anything, they intensified. She sent a message saying that she would agree to any terms I wanted, that she would sign a payment plan and we could still try to work things out, that the relationship did not have to be over just because of the legal case. She suggested couples counseling. She said she understood why I was angry and that she deserved my anger, but that we could move past this together. I did not respond. There was nothing left to say. The person I had loved either never existed or had been replaced by someone willing to use and discard people. Either way, that relationship was dead. The money was never really about the money. It was about the principle, about refusing to be a victim, about making sure there were consequences for treating people as disposable resources. Her payment plan was approved by the court. She would be paying me monthly for the next 10 years, a constant reminder of what she did. My attorney said the payment plan was actually better in some ways because it included interest, meaning I would ultimately receive more than the original judgment amount. Every month, a payment appears in my account, and I transfer it immediately to a separate savings account. I do not want to spend that money. It feels tainted. I have thought a lot about whether I did the right thing. My therapist, who I started seeing a few months into all of this, says that right and wrong are not always clear in situations involving betrayal and hurt. She says what matters is whether my actions aligned with my values and whether I can live with the consequences. I can live with them. I refuse to be used and discarded without standing up for myself. Some days I wonder if I am the villain in this story. If someone watching from the outside would see me as the bad guy using money and the legal system to punish someone for leaving me. But then I remember the ghosting, the complete disregard, the way she only came back when there were financial consequences. And I know that I did not create this situation. I tried to be generous. I protected myself reasonably, and she made her choices. She still tries to reach out occasionally. Birthday messages, holiday messages, random messages saying she is thinking about me. I do not respond. That chapter is closed. The monthly payments are the only connection we have left, and even that will end eventually. In 10 years, she will make her final payment, and we will be completely free of each other. I have not dated anyone since. People ask if I am ready to get back out there, but I am not sure how to trust again. How do you know if someone wants you or wants what you can provide? How do you separate genuine connection from strategic benefit? These are questions I am still working through. The money sits in that separate account, growing with each monthly payment. I have thought about donating it, about doing something meaningful with it, so that something good comes from this whole mess. Maybe I will. Or maybe I will keep it as a reminder of an expensive lesson learned about human nature and the importance of protecting yourself even when you want to believe the best in people. Looking back now, I do not regret filing the lawsuit. I regret trusting someone who did not deserve it. I regret ignoring warning signs because I wanted to believe in something that was not real. But I do not regret holding her accountable. Some people say that love means letting go, that if I really loved her, I would have just let her walk away with the money. But love should not mean being a doormat. It should not mean letting someone exploit your generosity without consequences. She made a choice when she took my money and then ghosted me. I made a choice when I enforced the agreement she signed. We both have to live with our choices. The difference is, I can look at myself in the mirror and know that I did not use anyone. I was honest about my intentions from the start. The conditional gift letter was not a trap. It was transparency. It was me saying that I wanted to help her, but that I also needed to protect myself. She agreed to those terms. She just never thought she would have to honor them. If someone reads this and thinks I am wrong, that is fine. I am not trying to convince anyone that I am a hero. I am just someone who refused to be used and who had the means to do something about it. Maybe that makes me vindictive. Maybe it makes me smart. Probably it makes me human, doing the best I could in a situation where there were no good options, only choices with different kinds of pain attached. The only advice I would give to anyone in a similar situation is to protect yourself. If you are going to be financially generous with someone you are in a relationship with, document it. Make the terms clear. Do not assume that love or trust is enough protection, because sometimes it is not. People change. Circumstances change. And if things fall apart, you will want to know that you did everything you could to be both generous and smart. I paid $87,000 to learn who she really was. It was the most expensive lesson of my life. But at least I learned it before I married her, before we bought a house together, before we had kids. In that sense, maybe it was worth it. The lawsuit was not about getting my money back. It was about refusing to let someone walk away thinking that using people has no consequences. It was about standing up for myself when every emotion told me to just let it go and move on. She begged to reconcile. She is still begging sometimes. But reconciliation would mean accepting that what she did was forgivable. It would mean telling her that she can ghost me after I changed her life, and that I will still be there waiting when she realizes her mistake. That is not love. That is desperation. And I am not desperate anymore. I am just done. If you'd like to see more stories like this, a gentle tap on the subscribe and hype button would mean the world to us. Please subscribe and press the hype button. Thanks in advance.